There are stories from the Second World War that remain almost impossible to comprehend. Stories so dark, so brutally inhuman, that even decades later they defy understanding. Among these stories stands one name, perhaps the most infamous doctor who ever lived, Josef Mengele. He is remembered only by his chilling nickname, the Angel of Death. But behind that title lies a series of events so disturbing that they continue to haunt historians, survivors, and anyone who confronts the record of what he did. His presence on the selection ramps of Auschwitz, his calm demeanor, his pristine uniform, and the cold, methodical efficiency with which he decided who would live, who would die, and who would be taken into his laboratory. This is the story of how a young man from Bavaria, ambitious, intelligent, and highly educated, transformed into the architect of some of the most inhumane experiments ever conducted. It is the story of the selections, the twins, the medical rooms, the screams, and the chilling silence that followed. This is the story of Josef Mengele. Chapter 1. The making of a monster. Josef Mengele was born in 1911 in the Bavarian town of Günzburg. To the outside world, he appeared to have everything: a financially stable family, a respectable upbringing, and access to education that many could only dream of. He was intelligent, driven, eloquent, and determined to excel academically. He studied anthropology. He studied medicine. He earned a PhD and a medical degree, a rare combination at the time. By his early 30s, he had built a reputation as a promising researcher in genetics and racial science, fields that the Nazi ideology had twisted into instruments of discrimination and genocide. But something else was happening beneath the surface. The Nazi worldview resonated with Mengele. The belief in racial hierarchy, the concept of purity, and the obsession with biology as destiny began to shape him. By 1943, he volunteered for service at Auschwitz. Not because he was forced, not because he had no choice. He wanted to be there. To him, Auschwitz represented opportunity, a place where he could conduct research without ethical limits, moral boundaries, or accountability. It was a laboratory created by a regime that viewed human beings as raw biological material. Auschwitz would become the stage for the horrors he had long imagined. Chapter 2. Arrival at Auschwitz. When Josef Mengele arrived, Auschwitz was already the deadliest camp in the Nazi system. Gas chambers operated daily. Thousands of prisoners lived in starvation, disease, and chaos. But Mengele's presence brought something new. He introduced order. Not kindness, but control. Witnesses recalled his polished black boots, his crisp uniform, and the slight smile he often wore. To some, he looked elegant, even charming. To others, he looked like a predator. His most feared role was on the selection ramp. When train after train arrived filled with Jewish families, Roma people, political prisoners, and others targeted by the Nazi regime, Mengele stood at the platform with a simple gesture. A flick of his wrist. To the left, death in the gas chambers. To the right, forced labor, and occasionally a third option, those he deemed interesting for his experiments. He favored twins, people with unusual physical features, dwarfs, those with heterochromia, different colored eyes, pregnant women, anyone whose body could serve his scientific curiosity. Survivors recalled his calmness, the way he sometimes hummed music, and the horrifying speed with which he made decisions that sealed thousands of fates. They remembered something else too, the soft whistle of his riding crop as he pointed from side to side. He never hesitated. He never flinched. He never showed remorse. Chapter 3. The twin experiments. Twins were Mengele's obsession. He believed they held the key to understanding genetics, heredity, and racial differences. In his view, if he could unlock the secrets of twins, he could manipulate human reproduction on a massive scale. The children he selected were taken to a special barracks known as the twin block. Many were young. Some were siblings only in name, paired simply because they looked alike. At first, the twins didn't always understand what was happening. Mengele often greeted them with a smile, a gentle tone, or a small piece of candy. This friendly facade earned him nicknames among the children. But the experiments that followed were anything but gentle. Twins were measured, photographed, and examined endlessly. Their blood was drawn in large quantities. Needles pierced their skin almost daily. Their bodies became battlegrounds for tests involving drugs, chemicals, infectious diseases, and surgeries. Sometimes, twins were intentionally infected with the same illness to observe how their bodies responded. Other times, one twin was subjected to pain or injury while the other was left unharmed. Simply to compare the results. One of the most horrifying procedures involved stitching or injecting substances into children's eyes in an attempt to change their color to blue. Many lost their vision. Some lost their lives. If one twin died, Mengele often had the surviving twin killed as well. He needed both bodies for autopsy. Because to him, they were not children. They were specimens. Chapter 4. The laboratory of death. Mengele's medical rooms were not hospitals. They were chambers of torment disguised under the banner of science. He conducted experiments on pregnant women, forcing them into procedures without anesthesia. He performed unnecessary surgeries on healthy individuals. He exposed prisoners to diseases like typhus and tuberculosis with the intent of studying their progression. He amputated limbs, removed organs, and opened skulls, all without the slightest concern for the suffering of his victims. Witnesses described the screams. They described the smell of disinfectant and blood. They described the cold metal instruments lined up on trays, waiting to be used. Mengele always appeared calm. He took extensive notes. He showed fascination with the results. But he showed no empathy. His experiments had no legitimate scientific value. They were driven by ideology, by cruelty, and by a disturbing desire to prove theories that were not grounded in reality. To him, the prisoners were simply tools. To the world, they were human beings robbed of dignity, life, and identity. Chapter 5. The selections continue outside the laboratory. Mengele's presence continued to dominate Auschwitz. He was known for sudden inspections. He would walk into a barracks and order prisoners to line up, searching for anyone sick or weak, people he deemed unfit for work. Those who could no longer endure the harsh conditions were sent directly to the gas chambers. Survivors often described the paralyzing fear that spread when he entered a room. His boots echoed on the floorboards. His voice carried authority. His orders were absolute. Some recalled the unsettling duality. Moments when he appeared polite, even courteous, followed by decisions that ended hundreds of lives. This contradiction became part of what made him so terrifying. He wasn't a monster in appearance, he was a monster in action. Chapter 6. Collapse and escape. By 1945, as the Soviet army advanced toward Auschwitz, the Nazi regime began to crumble. Evidence was burned. Witnesses were killed. Camps were evacuated. Mengele knew what would happen if he were caught. He left Auschwitz before liberation and fled west. But unlike many SS officers who were captured, he managed to avoid identification. He adopted false identities, used forged documents, and blended into the chaos of post-war Europe. He was detained briefly by Allied forces, but they failed to recognize him. Then he vanished. For years, Mengele moved between safe houses, protected by networks of former Nazis and sympathizers. In 1949, he escaped to South America. He lived in Argentina, then Paraguay, and later Brazil. He worked under assumed names. He lived among communities that knew, and others that suspected, exactly who he was. Despite international efforts to capture him, he evaded justice for 3 decades. And then, in 1979, while swimming in the Atlantic Ocean near Sao Paulo, Josef Mengele suffered a stroke and drowned. He died quietly, anonymously, never answering for his crimes. It was not until 1985 that DNA evidence confirmed the body buried under a false name, Wolfgang Gerhard, was indeed Mengele. Chapter 7. Testimonies of the survivors. Although Mengele escaped justice in life, the testimonies of survivors made sure his crimes would never be forgotten. Many spoke of the fear he inspired, Many spoke of the arbitrary cruelty. Many spoke of the loved ones taken by his selections. But the most powerful testimonies came from the children who survived his twin experiments. They described waking up in cold medical rooms. They described injections that caused unbearable pain. They described losing siblings who were once inseparable from them. And they described the moment they realized exactly what Josef Mengele was doing. Decades later, they still carried the scars, physical and emotional. Their voices are among the most important records we have, because they remind the world that the victims were not numbers. They were people. Chapter 8, Legacy of Horror. Today, the story of Josef Mengele serves as a chilling reminder of how science, when twisted by ideology and stripped of ethics, can become a weapon. His experiments contributed nothing to medicine, genetics, or biology. They produced no breakthroughs, no discoveries, no advancements. All they produced was suffering. And yet, it is crucial to study what happened, to understand how someone with education, intelligence, and opportunity could choose a path of cruelty, to understand how systems of power can transform individuals into instruments of evil, to understand how ordinary people can commit extraordinary atrocities when morality is replaced by ideology. Auschwitz remains a symbol of this warning, and Josef Mengele remains its darkest figure. Josef Mengele is often remembered as the Angel of Death, but that nickname hides a deeper truth. He was not a supernatural force. He was a man, one who chose to abandon humanity in the name of ambition and ideology. The horrors he committed were not inevitable. They were intentional. His legacy endures not because of who he was, but because of what the world must never allow again. That we tell these stories not to relive the darkness, but to make sure it can never be repeated, because memory is the only defense we have. And forgetting is the beginning of danger.